Welcome to Dental All-Stars. I'm Eric Vickery, lead mastery coach at All-Star Dental Academy and president of Vickery Coaching. And I'm so excited to interview our guests today. They're longtime friends of mine. I've known them for many, many years. And our first guest is Dr. Gregg Raymond, who graduated from Franklin College in 1973 and the Indiana University School of Dentistry in 1977. He is also a graduate of both the University of the Pacific PAC-Live program, the Las Vegas Institute for Advanced Dental Studies, and received a fellowship in the American Academy of General Dentistry. He practiced in Franklin, Indiana, a small town south of Indianapolis, along with his team of 6, which includes his wife, Karen, our second guest today. Okay. He and his team completed the coaching center training and built an outstanding practice, which in 2013 was in the top 3% of dentists across the nation. That is so awesome. He also received many awards for his outstanding smile makeovers and the dentistry he provided for underprivileged children and abused women. And so Dr. Raymond was a national speaker for the coaching center and also coach for dentists starting their practices. He recently completed the Indiana Leadership Training in Washington, D.C., and continues to enjoy teaching team building in several organizations. He loves the extra travel and family time he now has since retirement at age 62. That's awesome. And his wife, Karen Raymond, graduated from Indiana University. I wonder where you guys met, with a BS in Health Information Management in 1977. You guys were on that same track, huh? Let's see. Yeah. She then took a position with the Indiana University School of Dentistry and was responsible for the Department of New Patients and Dental Record Systems. And after 4 years at the dental school, she began helping her husband, Dr. Gregg Raymond, create an outstanding dental practice in Franklin, Indiana, which I can attest to. What an amazing, amazing practice. She attended and completed many seminars on patient and public relations and was named top patient relation coordinator from the Midwest by the Coaching Center. Karen and Dr. Raymond not only took their team to seminars, but became a national seminar speaker for the Coaching Center. And since retirement, she loves the time with their family and traveling. Karen also continues as a facilitator for students and office teams that need help with communication skills. So welcome, Karen and Dr. Gregg Raymond. And I've been wanting to get you guys on the podcast. I've wanted to discuss this with you. And today's topic is a series that we're doing with dentists on really being free of restrictive insurance, whether that means I'm in network and I want to be out of network, or I started my practice just out of network and I've been a fee-for-service practice from the get-go. There's both. And so I think a lot of times, I think that's what puts you in the 3%, right? I think a lot of times younger dentists especially, but also dentists who have practiced a long time who haven't seen that this is possible, right? The belief that this is doable. They think it's impossible to be out of network with insurance, right? And so I want to shed some light on that, and not that being in network is wrong or not profitable or not a good way to practice. I want to show them that this is a possibility. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So. Yes. So glad to have you two here. You guys are just such good friends. We've known each other for a long time. Full disclosure, I was able to coach these guys years and years and years ago. And we love staying in touch. So I think what the listeners would want to hear from you guys is, tell us about your practice. What was your vision when it came to being insurance free? Were you in network and you got out of network? Did you launch fee for service? How did you guys do that?
Wow, great question. I was thinking about this interview, Eric, and thinking back when I first began practice and why I even decided to be a dentist. I wanted to be a dentist because I enjoyed working alone, working just solo practice, and I wanted to not be, under perhaps an insurance plan or anything else. So I've always been fee for service.
You launched that way. You launched as fee for service.
Yes, from day one, it was always that way.
So here's my next question that people are listening. Were you a scratch practice or did you buy a practice?
Scratch practice.
So you started a scratch practice. This is what I hear all the time from young dentists. Do I buy a practice? Do I start a scratch practice? And it's different times, but you were willing to accept a slower launch then to, in your mind, in your vision, do it the right way. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
That's exactly right. I had a plan. I had a vision that I'd always wanted to be my own person and do it my way. And I stuck with it. And I was committed to it. And my wife was so instrumental in helping me, all holding my hand and being right there and doing everything as a team together. And yeah, I haven't regretted it one moment. So I've never been in a insurance reliant, a PPO or any contract.
So to clarify that, if I had MetLife and I came to you, Karen, you can explain this. How did that work? I said, I have insurance. And Karen, how did that work for me in your office if I had MetLife?
Okay. First of all, obviously when we answered the phone and someone would say, first thing they'd say, hey, I have insurance. Do you accept my insurance?
Yep.
We did the typical that we have learned in our coaching skills. Oh, tell me more about you. And you try to get, and you didn't want to, you wanted to try to answer the question, but take control of the conversation. We accept many insurance plans. We have a lot of people with that program. We love to work with you so that you get your best benefit. And we'll get you in and we'll go over that with you so that you can maximize your benefits and we can still take care of you. And then if we could get them in that first appointment, they, now obviously.
You wowed them when they came in, once they were in. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And so totally how we still train and teach offices how to handle that phone skill, transition statement, get control of the conversation. They don't know what else to ask, lead them towards that. Beautiful. So sidestep out of the patient relationship. Let's just you and I talking. When a patient had MetLife, did that mean they just paid their copay, or did that mean they paid all of it and MetLife paid me?
Well, there at the beginning, I will say we never signed up with any plans, so we were never a preferred dentist.
Yes.
So they were paying. We started with them paying their portion, and then the insurance would pay us the rest.
Yep.
And we did that for a long time, and it was easy on cleanings and fillings, things like that. Then there was a time when we started doing major work and getting involved in a lot of things that insurance wasn't going to cover, that we realized that we had to have a conversation with the patient. We're going to turn this in, we're going to take care of all the paperwork, but we're not sure, how much of this can be covered, because obviously the insurance company doesn't really care about you like we do, and they have maximum benefits anyway. So we began to do the part where they were basically paying for the whole thing and the insurance company was reimbursing them. So we did transition that, but it wasn't such a hard transition because we had never been on a PPO plan where we'd accept nothing but insurance and nothing, that was it.
Yep. Yeah. There are levels for our listening offices to hear. You're in network. You can be in network writing off up to maybe 42% on average of what your office fee is. Okay. Talking about PPO, plans, you can be out of that network and still accept assignment of benefits like you did in the beginning, where the insurance would pay the 80% to you and the patient paid the 20% difference for restorative, right? Or the insurance paid 100% of your fee for pro fees and things like that, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. And then there's the next level, which I call fee for service, where we'll handle the paperwork, we'll file your claim electronically, you'll get reimbursed, whatever the insurance pays, that's up to them. And typically with large cases, we're maximizing it anywhere. They're going to get their $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 to them. But your $10,000, $30,000, $40,000 treatment plan will do financial arrangements with you, and your insurance will just send you a little bit as a reimbursement, right?
Exactly.
Okay. That's the level you got to. You started at that middle level where you were at a network, but receiving assignment of benefits. Gotcha. Okay.
Yep.
So Dr. Raymond, starting out a scratch practice at a network, there must have been some challenges. It couldn't have all been, flowers and candy,
No,
right?
there were a lot of challenges, and it was really a commitment on our team's part to make this work. And I entered the team into this conversation because your team has to be 100% committed to practicing this way.
Mhm.
And you know what, one of the hardest things, Eric, that was for me to get around was I learned early on I couldn't be everyone's dentist. And at the beginning, I tried to be. And if you were vertical and were breathing, I wanted to be your dentist. And I realized that it was frankly, that wasn't going to happen. I couldn't practice the way I wanted to practice and build this practice the way we did if I was trying to be everything to everyone. And it was, it wasn't benefiting anyone. In fact, it was driving myself and my patients and my team crazy trying to do that. So we decided that, we developed our own vision statements, our purpose. This is who we are. And we're all committed to this as a team. And we knew going into this that not every person coming into our practice would be staying with our practice or could, they all have their own reasons also. It could be financial a lot of times. And you have empathy always with what's going on in everyone's life. But that was one of the big hurdles, I think, trying to begin the fee-for-service practice.
Yeah. Did you feel, I mean, look, this is just, honest with dentists, starting a scratch practice this way. Did you feel like, oh, my other graduating friends, they got more patience than me and that's slower here? Was there any of that creeped in, the doubt, the maybe approval addiction that you're alluding to there?
Yeah.
Yes, a lot. In fact, we had to, I use the word marketing, we had to market our practice on our own. We didn't have, for instance, a PPO or an insurance program or having bought a practice. Actually, when we sold the practice several years ago, we sold it to a young man who's in his mid-30s, and he was just buying our patient base and pretty much. And he's maintained a fee-for-service practice too. That's really what he was looking for as well.
Part,
For the most part,
Yeah.
he's done that. So it's really worked out very well. And but yeah, it's challenging. I mean, you have to be up for the task. You have to know what you're getting into, and you have to have a very, very supportive team who isn't going to subconsciously sabotage what
Yeah.
you're doing.
If they don't believe in it, they don't believe in your vision, right? They don't believe that vision purpose. So I want to summarize something here. You were willing to play the marathon game. You were going to play the long haul, knowing, okay, I'm going to be slower start, but it's going to long haul. I'm going to finish well, right?
Correct.
We're going to talk numbers here in a little bit. Okay. Secondly, you said, I need to have a clear vision that's non-wavering, that if I hire, these people got to be on board with. And these, honestly, these days, our dentists are like, I'll take someone who's vertical and breathing, like you said, right? It's like, I just need a team member and not like hiring someone. Okay, here's my vision. Are you on board with it? No. Okay, I'm not hiring you. Let me choose the next person. We don't really have those options these days. It's like, get on board. Hear my vision. Are you on the bus? Get on the bus with us. And you might decide 90 days in that they're not the right person. You go back to the drawing board. And so, you taught me what's the best asset to a practice team, right?
Oh, team, absolutely.
And what's the biggest challenge you taught me? Team. It's like,
exactly.
we're still in that mode, right? We're still in that. So long haul, clear vision, team trained towards that vision, and have to non-wavering, have to be on that. And the last thing I'm hearing you say in this conversation that you and I have talked about years and years ago was, you can't be approval addicted.
Right. Absolutely not.
Your words were, I'm not everybody's dentist. And for those that are listening who are in network, let me share something with you. You want to have a great practice. That means that what you're saying is, I want to get people healthy. That's what you're saying, right? Yep. And getting people healthy means do as much dentistry as possible per visit, not do one thing at a time on as many people as possible.
Exactly. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, speak to that, please.
No, I would say, it wasn't a high volume practice. In fact, at the beginning of Eric, when we first began, we were more of a high volume practice. We had 11 team members. And
wow.
And I was seeing, 60 to 70 patients a day. And it was just from room to room to room. And the stress level was just going through the ceiling. And it took me a long time to realize that I didn't have to be a high volume practice. I could still practice the way I wanted to practice, my vision of how I wanted to be a dentist and serve those who wanted to be a part of our practice. And still financially speaking, make as much or even more than having to be on a contract, with a PPO. Seeing some of my friends who were, and their reimbursements each year going down. And it was, they were working harder and perhaps not smarter. And just, I saw that in several of my closest friends, and they were really stressed.
And the insurance companies will step in and say, if you don't have us, you're going to lose all these patients.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And this and that, and it scares you to death. But when you start running numbers about what you really need,
Yeah.
it changes everything.
Eric, it may have been you that taught me. And by the way, I'm going to plug for Eric. I mean, fabulous coach, and I would definitely get into a nice coaching relationship with him and have him coach the team and you and the practice and oversee it and run all that, because it made it happen.
We couldn't have done it
We
without
couldn't have
that.
done it without you. But you taught me,
Seriously.
and I think you had like a formula, a math formula, whereas if you lost perhaps, it was either, and I can't remember the stat, it was 50 to 80% of your patient base, but yet you were being financially reimbursed at 100% of your usual and customary fee that you have, then you're way ahead, and it's less stress, and things were really worked out well. But it's hard to see that unless someone such as yourself sits down and puts the pen to paper, shows you.
You gotta have the facts and
Look.
not just emotional.
Yeah, because you think, how in the world am I going to do that? Because at the end of the day, no matter what, as far as running your own business, your small business, you have to make sure you're going to end up every month with some money in the bank and not more days than money at the end of the month. So you have to do what you really, that is going to be working for you.
Right.
It isn't for everyone. I mean,
Yes.
but I wouldn't have done it any other way.
Let's summarize this. So first of all, thank you for the compliment. I appreciate it. I think our relationship was very win-win. You guys taught me so much as well. And so I appreciate that. The formula that you're speaking to is if your average write-off rate as in a plan, let's say it's 42%, and you need to know that we have trackers for that. We'll show you what your patient population is in each plan, and we'll show you what your write-off rate is by doing UCR versus insurance fee, and then frequency of which you perform that procedure in that plan based on your population. Then we'll create a monthly cost. We'll create an annual cost. I did one for a doctor the other day. He's doing Medicaid, and it's a $400,000 loss annually for him seeing those patients based upon his frequency. What that meant was he had too many Medicaid patients, which meant you need to stop taking Medicaid patients. We need to grow the other side over here. So outside of Medicaid, and look, it's all about helping people. I get it, help get them healthy. But here's the number. Whatever your write-off rate is, and I typically see about 42%, and it's different. Profies, 15% write-off, crowns are 20% write. It's all this stuff, but the average is 42% write-off rate. That means you can afford to lose 42% of those patients when you go out of network, and the 58% of the patients who stay are paying 42% more, which justifies the loss.
Right.
You can actually afford to lose a little bit more, but it's confusing to say that. But that's the formula. Is when you're at a network, you go, well, so let's say you're considering going in network. Okay. Well, what's the loss you're going to take for these patients? This is another example, right? So let's say you're going to go in network, and right now the fee looks really good. It's a 10 or 15% write-off. Well, nice. Okay. Well, keep in mind your profit margin early on, especially, is 25%. So if you're at 25 or more % write-off, you're either breaking even or handing that patient money as they walk through your door, or you're having to double time it. You're seeing 30-minute profies, you're double, you think clinic style. That's why they do this. Right. And yes, you got a pretty nice rate now, but what's your rate going to look like in 15 years, or in 5 years, in 10 years? They're not going to raise the fee. Okay. It also hurts because dentistry as a whole, because here's the funny thing. If I go in network and I get all these patients, it puts pressure on you to go in network. It puts pressure on the next dentist to go in network. And then the insurance starts lowering the fee every time there's a next dentist that gets in network. Because leverage, because as dentists, we don't have the leverage. Early on, when all of this was created, we had leverage because they had nobody in network. So they matched our fee and the fee just stayed the same.
That's what they want.
Yeah.
And they're trying to say, basically, if your dentist isn't in this Delta Dental or whatever it is, you need to find out. And it's just this pressure and scaring them to death.
Yes. Yes.
And then once they got out, yeah.
So let's talk numbers. So most dentists, I'm just talking about dentist chair right now. We'll talk hygiene chair a different time maybe or something, but dentist chair, most of the time I'm on their tracker trying to figure out how do I get them to 500 per patient or at least 500 per hour. Okay. Now your practice was well above that. It was, by the time we were working together, we're just talking about different things and next level.
Sure.
Right.
But I'm trying to get them to 500 per hour net production, not talking real dollars, collectible dollars. Okay. And a lot of times what happens is I see these dentists and they're like, I just got to see more patients. If I see more patients and I go faster and I go faster and faster, I can get that 500 per hour. What's your response? What's your response to that?
Oh gosh, I think what you were just saying about looking at the numbers and looking at the percentages that you're writing off. And I played that game for a while, even though I wasn't in network, but I thought more volume, the better, and anyone that called, we gotta keep them as a patient and this and that. And we had a relatively high volume practice, but it wasn't until I started to pick and choose the procedures I enjoyed the most and were also profitable, and did that until I got off that merry-go-round. I mean, it was absolutely, and it's hard to see that beginning. It's hard to, I think, convince. And I'm thinking of some of my friends that went through that situation. It's hard to for them to rationalize that or see that, long term, until they take that leap of faith and they do that, and they're always receiving good advice, good coaching, and team is happy, and your patient base is happy. Yeah.
Think about it this way. And I know I'm making it about money right now, and I apologize for that because it is about getting more patients healthier. But let me say this: at the end of the day, there's a young dentist graduating right now who may be listening to this, and he's walking out of school. He's walking out of school with a bill. That bill looks different than your bill looked in 1977, right?
Right.
I mean, price of crowns were lower too, but it still feels like a really big number, $450,000. Walking out with this debt, and now they're wondering, now I got to buy a practice too, or I'm going to go be an associate for even longer. And what am I going to earn? You don't have to share if you don't want to, but I think, what do you think a dentist should be earning annually? What do you think is because I think sometimes we set the bar here when it has this opportunity that we haven't really, I don't think people like to talk about it. They're afraid to talk about this subject because you're in healthcare, you're talking about money. Yeah. But when you come out with this debt and you buy a practice, you're $1 million in debt like that. What do you think a dentist's income ought to be annually? I mean, what do you think?
Oh boy, I'm not certain, Eric. I don't know what they would expect, especially with the scenario you just painted that picture. I do know that, for instance, the young man that bought my practice. Yeah. He had worked for a corporate dental firm for a while, and right out of school, because of the same reason you just mentioned, he was in debt. Now what's he going to do? Put out so much money now to buy a practice, buy equipment, sign a lease for space. I mean, it was overwhelming. I really had a lot of empathy, sympathy for his situation. And so he did what he felt he needed to do at that point in time, which worked out for him. But after he had about, how long with the corporate office, maybe 3 to 4 years.
After 3 or 4 years.
He realized, came to realization, hey, this isn't why I became a dentist. I wanted to have my own practice, solo practice, fee for service practice. And that's why he was looking around to purchase a practice such as ours at that point in time. And he could better afford to do it. So it was a matter of timing also. That's why I was saying a while ago, at the end of the day, you have to, every situation is different and everyone's needs are different. And you have to do what you need to be doing to make that work. And may not be what, Gregg Raymond did or what Gregg Raymond ended up doing, evolved into doing, and maybe it is, so you're right. It's much different than it was when I graduated in 1977 also. So.
And it might be a same ratio. You graduate this much debt and the crown's worth this much. And that, it might be that way. I just read something that said the average young dentist working for that clinic style or government funded agency is making about $163,000 a year.
Yeah.
That to me is low.
Yeah, I was going to say 200 is what first came to mind. And I still didn't, I hadn't said it, but that's what came to mind just immediately was like 200. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think sometimes dentists don't believe that what should that income be, or they understand, I got to be in specialty to do this or whatever. If I do the numbers right, okay, and we look at, budgeting expenses and we have our fees accurate. This is another reason to be out of network is we're in hyperinflation right now. Guess what? Every employee is asking for in every single practice. They want that little bump up, right?
Yep.
And now it's not a 10% raise, so $2 an hour, $3 an hour. We're talking 10%, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry, not 10%. We're talking about a 20% raise. They're doubling. They want $4 an hour or more.
Yeah.
And we're getting really smart, dentists cherry picking other things on, hey, we'll give you $4 more an hour if you come over here. Don't even know anything about them. Just come over here, $4 more an hour. And then employees go into the existing dentist going, what do I do? I didn't even apply for this job. I just got this offer out of the blue. Yep. They reached out to me. They found me. It's happening. Facebook messaging makes that possible. Right? So if you have the ceiling set on you with your fees by an insurance company, you can't even afford good team members. And now they go. No,
that's right.
Or you're not making that annual income and you're having to take it out of your pocket to pay your employees and you're stuck at $150,000. Now, if you do the numbers right and you budget and you have freedom to choose your fees and everything's set up right, and just $1 million practice, do you mind sharing what your annual collections were when you were like doing your thing? Do you want to share that number? Is that okay?
Sure. I think at our peak, this was, I've been retired for like 8 years, but I think at our peak, we were like 1.5.
Okay. 1.5. So you had 2 doctors and you had 3 hygienists working for you. Is that what you're saying?
No, I know I had myself, and at one point we had 4 team members, myself and 4. We were doing 1.5, and this is probably over 10, 15 years ago, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
About 2013.
So we'll just take the $1 million model because that should be doable at $500 an hour on the doctor side. This is collections, right? $500 an hour. If you do the math, right? $500 an hour, that's times that by 8 hours a day. We'll say it's 2,000 a day, right? With hygiene. Okay. 4 days a week, okay. Use times that by, 48 weeks. Easy math is 83,000 a month. That's 12 million. Here's the point. If you're really managing your money well, and you're going to have more debt early on, but let's say the average dentist is getting 25% on average. The goal would be a lot more than that. That's $250,000 a year that should be going to the dentist's pocket. Now, some of that might be paying bills and other things, and it should go up from there. So if you're a dentist listening to this and you're not hitting that $250,000 income mark, and you're wondering why, we might have a solution for you when it comes to that ceiling that's been placed on you by the insurance companies.
Yes.
I guarantee the CEO of the insurance company is making more than $250.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, it's in essence, I mean, insurance companies are
They're trying to
owners of the
control
dental
and
practices,
own
and
and
it really is.
scare.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. If you had the ear of a dentist who was either considering starting a practice in network or a dentist that is in network right now, you had their ear and you had, a couple of minutes just to tell them some advice,
Right.
from Dr. Raymond, what would you like for them to see? What do you think that the blinders are on with them that you can shed some light on for them?
Oh boy, I would say basically what we've just been talking about, because you're as the dentist now, you're faced with having to make sure that, and yeah, we talk a lot about finances and the monies and everything else, but it's also their happiness level. They have to be committed to practicing, to ask themselves, why did you choose to be a dentist to begin with? What was exciting for you? And for myself, it was, basically owning a solo practice and being able to, I hate to say be my own boss, but actually be my own boss and
make moral and ethical decisions.
yeah,
That's
Ooh, it's good.
not pushing on you, because
exactly.
that is impossible. If somebody has working for the corporations, you've got to feel good and happy.
Yeah,
He did.
this young dentist I mentioned that bought our practice. Yeah, he had working for the corporate. He was he was on quotas. He had a certain amount that they expected him to do, and so he had to meet that, or things would come down on him. So
absolutely, they are all about production. They know what it takes to maintain a high rate of production to collections ratio. They know you got to produce a certain amount. Now, these big corporations are able to negotiate a higher PPO rate because they have some leverage with the insurance companies because they're a volume-based business. When you're a solo practitioner, it's much harder. So I want to summarize what I heard you say. Are you passionate when you go to work? Do you love what you're doing? If you don't love what you're doing, look at it and say, what would it have to look like for me to love it?
Yes.
Yep.
On Monday morning, when I wake up, go, yes, I get to go into the office. I get to do the type of dentistry I want to do. Okay. The second thing, and I think one of you said this, I think be your own boss, right? And Karen, you said make your own decisions. Treatment plan the way you want a treatment plan to make it ideal for the patient. So you can predict the outcome. So you're not looking to, I got to send it over to this lab over here to cover the cost of this insurance company. There's all sorts of things I see go on to try to make a certain insurance company profitable for you. And you're trying to, do these sorts of things to do this, when really it should be a decision between you and the patient as what's the best direction to go, right?
Exactly.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Totally.
Right. So I think what I'm hearing you say, if you had one thing to say, is write your vision and be passionate about what, being in dentistry. What does that look like for you?
Exactly. That's the bottom line.
And it is possible.
Yeah.
That's what, okay. And so if I'm afraid, all right, so Karen, so I'm afraid, maybe it's, I'm not sure my team's going to get on board, or I'm my own approval agent. I'm afraid to be on a network because I might lose my whole business. What would you say to someone in that situation?
Well, again, Eric, I would definitely say, go in with the research, make sure that you're in the right place, that you've got the research. But if you believe in it 100% and you have that vision and you can get as much of that team behind you, you go for it wholeheartedly. And it can be done. I mean, even where we were living and where we practiced, some people thought that couldn't happen.
Yeah.
But because of the things that we did, you can't just make a decision and go, this is what we're going to do and it's all going to be wonderful. That is not true. You have to do the research. And I don't want to push like I'm pushing you as a coach, but Greg and I were just talking about this last night. Everything that we did from the coaching and the seminars that led to this, we had to implement, and that's what made the difference.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. What you're really talking about here, a couple of things, right? It's not, should you be out of network? It's, more like, why are you in network? It's not, don't be afraid to be out of network. Look at the numbers of being in network and say, are you okay with that? And so what we do as coaches, we show you, again, population of the practice that's in network, what that population costs you. And there might be some plans you decide to keep. I am helping, I won't use the insurance company's name. I'll say Premier or PPO. And you should probably know what I'm talking about when I say that. I have so many dentists, okay, that they were credentialed with this insurance company prior to 2012. And that insurance company got them to say, hey, be Premier and PPO. And they went, oh, okay, yeah, sure, why not? I get my Premier fee. Yeah, okay. Well, what that insurance company did was they wrote plans that were both Premier and PPO. And when the dentist was both Premier and PPO, guess what fee the dentist got? They didn't get the Premier rate. They got the PPO rate, which is a 42% write-off rate. And for years and years and years stacked on top of each other, we're talking about $70,000 to $100,000 a year for the last 10 years or more that I've been working with this dentist going, you're taking a $70,000 to $100,000 hit. I just did this with a doctor in Maryland this week, $75,000 annual because of her population of that insurance plan, taking that PPO rate instead of Premier. And all we did was flip a switch and say, hey, I credentialed with you prior to 2012. I can just be Premier and make that switch. And only 5% of the plans are PPO only. Only 5% of the plans are Premier only. That means 90% of the plans are both. So if you're just Premier, you get the Premier rate. But when you're both, they pay you the PPO rate. And dentists don't, and what you're talking about is dentists don't know this information. So this podcast is now potentially worth $75,000 a year to somebody.
It is.
Yeah.
Totally.
If you registered, credentialed with that insurance company prior to 2012. Now, after 2012, you're just PPO. There's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
I helped an endodontist this year make the decision to resign from the big dog that we're talking about here. And because as a specialist, you cannot be Premier only, you have to be Premier and PPO. Okay. That decision, it's two endodontists, kind of like 1.5 endodontists, is a $400,000 annual change by resigning from Delta.
Yeah. Gee.
Do you think he now has a better chance of keeping his highly trained team over someone else? Think about that. $400,000. So and I think I'm conservative on that guess. So, and here's the thing, there's no reason to be a network as that specialist because it's a one-off. It's an endodontist. It's a one-off. There's no hygiene to worry about. It's all these things. Does that make sense to you guys though?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Perfect.
Well, that's what I mean about the value of a coach and someone as knowledgeable as yourself.
Yes.
And I'll keep saying that because I don't mean to be overboard, but it's true. And having that reminder and someone who knows what they're doing and can coach you and hold your hand along the way, because you're gonna have a lot of self-doubt, at least I did, on certain things. And am I doing the right thing? You need a third party out there to bounce these things off of, and they can see things that perhaps you can't, very easily. So no, it's just invaluable. As you know, I see you are part of our team. Obviously, you're part of our team, and it was always invaluable. And other team members, the team members, or once you find the right team too. When I say right, that fits your vision, the way you want to practice, and they all are very respectful of each other. It's magic. I mean, I use that word magic because things just come together. And the team, I get as much coaching from them also as what I or yourself can give to them. I mean, they can see things after they've been with the practice for so long. It's invaluable. They ended up hiring and in some cases just firing some team members that I wasn't aware was sabotaging the practice, So there's those types of things that always go on.
Absolutely.
And be aware.
And here's a broad statement of what you're describing there is you want the best team members working for your practice.
Oh, yes.
And in order to do that, you've got to train them, but you also got to pay them.
Yes.
Absolutely. And in order to pay them, you can't have these ceilings placed upon you. You've got to figure out ways to break through that. And so now, again, there's probably ways to do that in network, and we're not talking about that today, but there is this way to be out of network and be insurance free and to resign from insurances in a way that's healthy for you. And we went through, how to answer the phone, case presentation, customer service, marketing, all the things it takes to make that machine work, every single cog, every single wheel well, we greased everything. And you do that, you do that instead of running around and chasing your tail and seeing a bunch of patients who pay a little bit of money, who don't really value and respect the time and all those things. It changes the perspective. And there are just as many people looking for that type of dental office as there are looking for a in-network practice.
They'll be so happy if they can make this happen.
Yeah.
Putting those systems together. We always talked about, your practice is only as good as the systems that you've had implemented, and you're constantly reviewing and looking over and maybe changing, maybe not. But your systems are so important, and communication skills. It is that whole package, Eric. Yeah, absolutely. It's the whole package. It's so hard to get that across in such a short time that we have, like today.
Yeah.
But it's challenging. I'm sitting here thinking, well, maybe I should say this. Maybe we're thinking this.
Yeah.
But there's so much, and but it is exciting once you get it put together and you can see it, and you can fix many things really quickly if you just have that in place.
I would like to say one thing. Once you do start treating your patients different and do the comprehensive treatment plans and do the things that we learned, the patients you get, it becomes a cycle of referrals, and you get those good patients, and it just is self-fulfilling, and you're so much happier. It's wonderful.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Birds of a feather flock together, right? It's just that sort of scenario. What you're looking for is looking for you.
Exactly.
It's there. So, well, this isn't a how to do it podcast. That's training and coaching and all that kind of stuff. But this is a awareness to say, it's so possible, and you can make such a great living at this. I would challenge dentists to think of a number in their head and say, this is what I want to make annually. And I'm talking about a 1 doctor, 2 hygienist practice. If you want to grow beyond that, that's a whole different ballgame. But you're looking for $350,000 a year. That's the goal these days of what you want to achieve. And if you're not getting there and you want to be, then we need to look at the way insurance is holding you back. We need to look at your systems. We can look at your case acceptance. We can look at your treatment planning and make sure it's ideal. You got to have the clinical training to do that, deliver that sort of service. But again, it's not about the money, but it's about being passionate about how you want to practice and then being rewarded for that in a very nice way. Yeah.
You have a happier dentist, a happier team, and it's wonderful for everybody in the end.
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely wonderful. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I really, really appreciate your time.
We're honored. Thanks for asking. I mean, my gosh, hopefully some pearls have come out or slipped out with you. Thanks.
Hopefully it's something to think about, because that's exactly what we did. We set what we wanted to make.
Yes.
And we started working towards that, and it happened.
Your goals, right? Your goals. Yeah. If you're listening to this and you want more information about how to resign from restrictive insurance, how to be insurance free, right? Be that kind of provider, you can send an email to heather@allstardentalacademy.com. Okay. Well, thank you all for joining us and listening and taking the time to invest in yourself. And until next time, go out there and be an all-star. Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.